This
and
conference will
Incubation
now be
Policy
recorded.
of Government of India. We at NBNSCOE always promotes the activities related to incubation and startup. In our campus, we have our own incubation center. Professor Naikavadi from our department, he is very instrumental about our incubation center. Till now, we have got a funding of few lakhs for our incubation center from the government and non-government organizations. Also, we promote our students for startups. In our campus, we have one company, or we can say startup, established by our alumni students from ENTC department. Basically, that company is functioning in the Medicare field, Medicare equipments field. Name of the startup is Saksham Medicare Equipments Private Limited. Institute has provided space for them in our campus. This webinar is intended to make you familiar with Government of India's policies for innovation and incubation. Mr. Pradeep Dhage, the Incubator Manager at MIT-TBI, who is a resource person of today's session, I know him very well. He is a very good speaker. And I am sure you all will enjoy his session. So without taking much of your time, once again, I would like to welcome you all and thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gharsi sir, for that introduction. And I still see few of the participants joining the sessions. So now, before starting the session, I would like to give you brief introduction of Mr. Pradeep Dhage, our today's presenter for the session. Mr. Pradeep Dhage is an incubator manager at MIT-TBI, Technology Business Incubator Unit. It comes under the aegis of MIT group of institutions at Pune, but basically MIT-TBI is a separate not-for-profit Section 8 company, and it is supported by Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Pradeep Dhage has worked as a national evaluator for Smart India Hackathon, which are the competitions held at the national level, and it has also been started at the international level as well. Mr. Pradeep Dhage has been instrumental in fetching the Department of Science and Technology fundings to the tune of rupees 500 crores for various incubation programs at MIT-TBI. He has also successfully fetched many DST fundings of the tune of 10.5 lakhs under the DST NIMAT schemes, 16 lakhs for entrepreneurship, and around 26 lakhs for different solar projects which are going on at MIT-TBI. He basically handles the MIT-TBI program management at his company, which looks into the core incubation and innovation activities. Similarly, he also guides the DST Nidhi project planning and strategies. He has been very instrumental and successfully rolled out the different MIT-TBI product development policies, and he has also been instrumental in establishing AICMIT incubator proposals for his sister institutes in association with Niti Aayog. And he had also been a winner of Smart India Hackathon, which was held in 2017, where his team was selected in the top 10 teams for Texas Instruments Innovation Competition. So we have a very good person, a relevant person, I would say, and expertise in this field who will be delivering this session. So over to you, Pradeep. I request you to start the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for this introduction. I thank our entire electrical department from Sinhgad Solapur College, and I welcome all the participants. Am I audible to all? Naikode sir, am I audible to all?
Yes, you are audible.
And is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is also visible.
Okay, fine. So without spending much time, I'll start the presentation and the information regarding the incubation, innovation, and on top of that, the policy which has been which has been compiled and offered by MHRD. Today's session, I shall start with one very unique self-introspection of we all Indians. Uh, Friends, if you see the current status of Indians' ability, or if you do the self-introspection of all the Indians, we come to know that we are having the abilities on variety of fronts. For example, we are very much technically able for the technology implementation. We have the working attitude as compared with the European citizens. We have a very strong and quick analytical skill as well, very improved sound analytical skill as well. We are very much logical as compared with the European and American intellectual abilities. I would like to say that we are the only second uh, national persons after the Japan who has a good logical ability after Japan. And the most important is that we are very adjustive, and that's why we are sustainable as far as our jobs are concerned, as far as our visions and objectives are concerned. And that's why maybe due to these 4 or 5 ability reasons, maybe most of the CMM5 companies or most of the Fortune 5 companies, CEOs and directors are the Indians. You can take any of the big company name, you will find the CEO from the India only. Okay, so this was about the ability of the Indians, ability of we all. Uh, where is on parallel note, if you see the worldwide facts as far as the startups are concerned. Now let me clear my friends here. When I use the word startup, that doesn't mean that a startup means a business. Here, the backbone or the back end of this startup word starts with the innovation. So by default, whenever I say startup, it starts with the innovation component first, then the product development, and lastly, the commercialization of that product development is nothing but startup. So when I say startup, the innovation and product development comes by default. So if we look towards the worldwide facts, the startup counts are concerned, only 5 out of 100 teams each year used to enter into the startup world. That means they start with their idea, they do some innovation, they do the product development, and they targeted for the commercialization of that product, that is known as startup. But if you see out of these 5 teams, again, only the 2%, means only the 2 out of 10 teams are going to sustain. See, this is in the percentile norms I'm figure outing these statistics. Initially, the startup enter ratio is 5 out of 100 teams. Then how much of the startups are going to sustain? Only 2 out of 10 teams. So percentile figures I'm just counting over here. And that means when I say that 2 teams are going to sustain out of 10, that means it is but obvious that the 8 startups or 8 innovations or maybe the 8 product developments are going to die out of 10. So what does it result? The result is nothing but the slower entrepreneurship index, because ultimately the nation's uh, entrepreneurship index starts with the idea, then the innovation, and not only innovation, but the nation wants that how much of the innovation is been converted into the commercialization. And if it is commercialized, then it is called as a good index or maybe an entrepreneurship index. So if you say, as we are from the academic field as well, if we say that we have done such a marvelous innovation, but if we don't know how to commercialize, how to sell that innovation to the market, this innovation is dead for us. So from the worldwide facts, every country used to measure their innovation index based on the entrepreneurship and their startups. So if you see the worldwide facts, still the entrepreneurship index is comparatively slower than what we are expecting. So what is the solution out of this? We have talked about the Indians' ability, we have talked about the worldwide facts. So if we are keep on targeting only the problems, then the solutions won't come. So we need to talk about the solution as well. So what is the solution? So solution is but obvious, very clear, that the incubator innovation houses we need to set up in association with a concrete academic foundation. That means it is a very clear-cut mandate that that has been given by many countries' respective education ministries, that the academic foundation we need to make so robust, so concrete, so that the innovations and the startup starts from the academic foundation only. That is means academic organizations only. So with this solution single line note, I shall start my entire presentation from now. So when we talk of this innovation houses or incubation houses, so what does it mean actually? So that means we need to set up, we need to initiate, we need to motivate the technology business incubator. Now, if I'm not wrong, most of the participants over here are from the technology. That's why I'm uttering the name of the technology business incubator. There are some incubator who are not into technology, they are into basic operations as well. But dear friends, the incubators and the innovation success lies into technology. So that's why the incubator having the technology touch is comparatively more important than the normal business incubators. So if in India we succeed to set up, if we in India we could able to set up more and more TBIs, that is technology business incubators, that would be more ease for us to come up or to convert the innovation into the startups. That means the commercialization of the innovation. So when we talk of this incubators, that is a technology business incubator, if you see the single line introduction of this incubator, that means the TBIs must focus on the innovation and ultimately the entrepreneurship component, keeping in mind with the objective of to create the sustainable startup, starting with the academic institutions. Now, this is not the mandate, but this is just a direction given by many of the countries. Start with the West, that is from US, Canada, Mexico, Argentina, then Europe, entire Europe, in fact, Europe, Africa, then the Asia, uh, Australia continent. Everywhere, if you see the innovation components, they are promoting the innovation from the academic premises only, and that's why I have written the introduction of this TBI as it must focus the incubation or the innovation houses must focus the innovation entrepreneurship component with the objective to create the sustainable startup, starting with the academic premises or academic institution. So when we talk of this incubator, what must be the basic operations the incubator shall run or should run, I would say. The operations are very clear. Every incubator inside the academic premises must have the co-working space for the student teams who are actually digging out something for the startup and the innovations. Next one is a core mentorship, not only from the academic side, but from the industry side, the respective academic institution or the incubator house should uh, present themselves as a catalyst in between the industry experts and the student startups, and maybe on a role of mentorship. So industry experts can become a mentor to the student startup. The academic faculty also can become a mentor to the student startups for their respective innovations. Most important is lab access. Unlike the traditional academic labs, the incubator houses must have the two basic lab, that is maker space and the fab lab, so that all the fabrication related work the respective innovator or the startup can do inside the fab lab, and all the design development and the makers related or maybe the STEM related work he or she can do inside the makers lab. Apart from that, the fourth operation of this incubator must be the IPR support. Every incubator must give the IPR, intellectual property rights support to most of this innovator, whoever is coming to incubator, maybe patents, maybe copyrights, maybe GIS, everything. So they must give the support. And most important is the technical assistant, because when the innovator come up with his or her idea, they may be good in one technology platform. If suppose the computer science person is coming with his or her idea, they may be good in computer science related technology, but they might not be good in the mechanical related stuffs or the design related stuffs. So the technical assistant need to given by the respective incubator from the academic premises. So in the same in the operational line, the such incubators must be supported by major three entities. One and the first foremost is the academic institute, who can be the host of this incubator. The industry, as I said, the industry expert can become a partner or maybe the mentor to the respective startups and the innovators. So we can incorporate the industries on a mentor or partner front. Later on, the government agencies, we have plenty of government agencies right now who are supporting the incubation activities. For example, MHRD, the very own MHRD, who is supporting all academic higher education institutes. DST, Department of Science and Technology, Niti Aayog, and MIT, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Apart from that, there are various other government agencies also there, which I have not written over here. For example, DBT, Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Ayush, likewise. So almost most of the ministries from the central government, state government, they are supporting to these incubators. We just need to write a good, handsome, and suitable proposal to them. And yes, the government agencies are ready to help you out for that, if the respective call for proposal window is open. So next one is when I did discuss about this technology business incubator, I would like to give one example as well, so that the participant can correlate the theory along with the actual scenario. Last slide, I did discuss about the theoretical thing, but this is the actual case study based on this TBI concept. So MIT has developed their own TBI called MIT Technology Business Incubator, which was started in 2014. We did apply to government for the funding in 2015 end, post Diwali, in the month of November, I suppose, if I'm not wrong. And we got the funding approval in the very next year, first half, maybe in April or May 2016. So MIT-TBI is supported by DST, Department of Science and Technology. As far as operations are concerned, MIT-TBI is it is having an autonomy of a Section 8 company running inside the MIT campus. The core operations are incubation and innovation. As I said, every incubator must have the two labs, and those two labs are Makerspace and Fab Lab. We have, as per the government rules and regulation. We give the consultancies as well. We have a pretty good sound technical as well as the business expert team with us. So we give the consultancies to many of the tier 1, tier 2 vendors and the clients as well. We are running one unique program called I2I. That is I2I called as idea to implementation. So this is the major verticals of MIT-TBI. And as far as support is concerned, as I said, MIT-TBI has been supported by DST, worth rupees of 500 lakhs, that is 5 crore of financial funding support. And we have generated almost 126 lakh, that is 1.26 crore from the consultancy side as well. So this is just a small introduction from the TBI along with this case study. At a glance, if you see MIT-TBI, as I said, it is a Section 8 not-for-profit company. We are the very first TBI started from the private education institute in Maharashtra. We have been supported by DST, Government of India. If you see the work area, I have just discussed this in last slide as well. The incubation, I2I, that is idea to implementation. We do some skill development programs for the startups and the innovators as well. Along with that, we do some national, international events, and most important for our own sustainability, we do the commercial consultancies as well. So till now, if you see the statistics, we have 13 startups onboarded physically who are coming regularly to MIT-TBI co-working space. They are using this. Three startups have been graduated. Their annual turnover is more than 15 crore minimum. Average is 25 crore. Project initiated till now is 4, and average project cost is near about 50 lakh, 50. As far as features are concerned, we have a very good, robust and suitable MIT-TBI, that is incubator policy for our startups and the innovators. The co-working space we are offering. Then the makerspace, Fab Lab. Most important is the G Suite support. We are the facilitator and the beneficiaries of the Google services, all the Google services free of cost. We have a very strong mentor support as well. Funding as far as is concerned, 5 crore, as I said, so from the DST, 96 lakh from the National Institute of Solar Energy, Central Government of India, 5 lakh from the project side. That is in terms of consultants. We have the very good tie-ups with whom we are running our operation, like DST, NISC, Niti Aayog, Capgemini, Persistence, few of the academic institutions as well. Professor Naikwadi sirs have took the initiative to incorporate Sinhgad Solapur College with MIT-TBI as a tie-up partner to run the innovation and entrepreneurship activities at his premises. I appreciate that part as well. Similarly, we have many academic institutions tie up with us who are working parallelly with us related to the startups and innovation. We have the tie-up with the ISA as well, that is International Solar Alliance. 16 nation countries have started their club called ISA. The headquarters of this ISA club is at Gurgaon, near to Delhi. And we are also one of the proud members with ISA. So TBI labs are these two, Makerspace and the Fab Lab. In Makerspace, we do design development and making related stuffs, and in Fab Lab, the fabrication related stuffs. We have the mentor support. Unlike the electronics, mechanical, and computer science related mentors, we have the mentors based on the innovation need or the startup need. For example, IT mentor, R&D mentor, legal, finance, business mentor, sales, marketing, and the Makerspace mentor. So we have the mentors from the respective area, which will be helping our students for their respective innovation whenever they feel any kind of a roadblock for their innovation progress. Now, I'll be coming to the most important point here. When we talk of this innovation and incubation, we have a support from the MHRD as well, who is giving the direction to set up the incubator, not only for the students, but for set up the incubator not only for the students benefit, but for the academic institutions benefit as well. This initiative is known as the National Innovation and Startup Policy for Student and Faculties 2019. Very last year, they have come up with one NISP policy, that is National Innovation and Startup Policy, initiated by MHRD, Institute Innovation Council. Let me clear one thing. MHRD have set up one a dedicated innovation council called as IIC, that is Institute Innovation Council. And under this Innovation Council, Institute Innovation Council, the NISP policy, that is National Innovation and Startup Policy for Students and Faculties, have been published in 2019. And we will be discussing about this MHRD's Startup and Innovation Policy now. So if you look toward the initiatives by MHRD in line with this policy, MHRD is working on 4 or 5 fronts. For example, Smart India Hackathon, Institute Innovation Council, ARIIA, that is Untold Ranking of Institution on Innovation Achievements. And last one is the NISP, that is National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for students and faculties. So if you look toward this all 4 or 5 verticals, every vertical is pretty much important for all the academic institution, especially the higher education institution. When I say academic institution, preferably I wanted to say it is an HEI, that is higher education institution, like Sinhgad, Solapur, like maybe MIT, like COEP, like VJTI, like MIT University, like any of or IITs. So all these higher education institutes comes under this MHRD's initiatives, and they are the beneficiaries of this MHRD's initiative. So very first one is the Smart India Hackathon. As you know, most of the faculties and the students knows that central government, that is MHRD, is running the Smart India Hackathon every year for the students. It is a 36 hours non-stop coding competition. The problem statement will be given to the students, and the students need to come up with the output within 36 hours. This is on the software track. As far as hardware track is concerned, the 24 hours non-stop competition will be offered to the students, and they need to come up with the hardware output or hardware best output for the respective problem statement, which has been offered by the respective ministry under the respective Ministry of Central Government of India. And the initiator of this Smart India Hackathon is MHRD's MIC cell, that is MHRD's Innovation Cell. The very next one is the IIC, that is Institutions Innovation Council. As most of you know, every college have the mandate, every institute has the mandate to up and run the IIC cell inside the higher education institute. That is called Institutions Innovation Cell. And this Institution Innovation Cell is being governed by the Institution Innovation Council as well from the MHRD. Next one is the ARIIA, that is Atal Ranking of Institution on Innovation and Achievement. Dear participants, I just wanted to clear one thing is that henceforth, all the ranking, the credits, the performance of the higher education institutes shall be measured based on this ARIIA ranking only. And this is the mandate given by the MHRD as well. Till now, what we had to do, that one agency used to come from the MHRD or AICTE, that is called NBA or maybe NAC. Okay, these are the two different bodies, apex bodies actually. And based on the NBA and NAC, the performance of this institute used to rate, and the respective ranking they used to publish on their website, on the government website. But henceforth, instead of this NBA and NAC, the most important will be given to the ARIIA, the Atal Ranking of Institution on Innovation Achievement. And if you see the norms and the highlights of this ARIIA ranking, you will see most of the stake and the focus has been given to only innovation, startups, product development, and the individual as well as the organizational upliftment of the So if any institute who is running the technical programs like engineering, maybe the so-called engineering allied branches as well, so they have to focus on this ARIIA ranking as well. And for that purpose, I request everyone that you can just Google the norms of this ARIIA later on after maybe this presentation. We'll come to know that most of this focus and the points has been given to the research, product development, innovation, and the startups only. This is not only for the students, but this is for the faculties as well. Next one is the NISP policy, that is National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for students and faculty. Now we'll be discussing more on this NISP only. Hello, am I audible to all? Hello, am I audible to all?
Yes, sir, you are audible. No problem.
Okay. So we shall start with this highlighting points of this NISP policy. As I said, the name full form is National Innovation and Startup Policy 2019 for students and faculties. So NISP 2019 was launched by the Honorable Minister of HRD on 11 September 2019. You can see the photograph as well. The policy intend to guide the HEI. HEI means higher education institutions to promote students and faculty driven innovation and startups. So it will be an instrumental in leveraging the potential of students' problem solving and entrepreneur mindset and promoting a strong intra-institutional partnership. So the mandate or the objective of this policy is very clear, that student should have not only motivation but the platform as well for the problem solving of their respective idea, the entrepreneurship mindset, and so most important is intra and inter-institutional partnership on the agenda of entrepreneurship and innovation. So you can see the photograph over here. I'll go to the next slide. If you see the thrust areas of this NISP, the thrust areas of this NISP policy has been categorized on major 5 verticals, or I would say A, B, C, D, E, and F. So major 6 verticals. A vertical focus on HEIs strategy and governance for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. Inside that, if you see on the lighter blue shade, inside a part, there are some categories of this promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. So, and that A1, A2 tells that how to create the innovation pipeline and pathways for the entrepreneurs. And A2 part says that how to build the organizational capacity and HR team or HR environment along with the incentives for the students and faculties. And A3 is common to all of these verticals. So that is how to do the collaboration and co-working, co-creation and business relationship, and the knowledge exchange among the institutions and the universities. The B part, if you see, once you are thoroughly ready with promoting innovation and entrepreneurship along with your own policy, maybe at institutional level, next thing in this NISP policy is that what are the different norms, or I would say the rules applicable for the faculties and the students driven innovation and startup. Let me clear all the participants here. These norms are not for the only academic students or the academic faculties. These norms or the rules are applicable to those academic faculty or those academic students who are actually working on the product development or the startup. And if they are working on the product development and startup, then only these norms are going to applicable. See, inside this B, the B1, B2, B3 says that how to incentivize the faculty or how to motivate the faculty and student by offering the incentives, and what are the norms for the faculty startup. Most of the faculty, whenever I used to do the my presentation on this platform of incubation and innovation, many of the faculty says that, sir, we are doing our service, we are doing the job, but if we have a good idea and if we want to start the startup, are we going to allow to start our own startup keeping consideration and without disturbing our ongoing service or the job? So the answer is yes, you can do. MHRD, AICTE have given the clear-cut mandate that faculty can run his or her own startup without disturbing your current job or services. Obviously, there are some rules and there are some points which we need to consider while starting our own startup. If the respective faculty is working somewhere as a professor or assistant professor or maybe a lab assistant with any of the organization. So there are some norms, and those norms are written inside B3 of this B3 points or B3 para of this policy. The C part is incubation and pre-incubation support, how the HEI can give the incubation support or pre-incubation support. D parts tell about the IP ownership right, who will own the IPR if the student and faculties are going to do some innovation, and in that case how the IPs are going to share and who will be the actual owner of this IP. So that points have been highlighted in D para of this NISP policy. E1 is the pedagogy and learning interventions for supporting innovation and startup. So what are the different pedagogy and the interventions we need to consider while doing while supporting the innovation and startup? That part have been written inside the E para of this policy. The last vertical or last para of this policy tells about the entrepreneur performance impact assessment. Dear friends, in last slide I did discuss about this ARIIA ranking. So this ARIIA ranking directly leads with this F para of this NISP, that is entrepreneur performance impact assessment, not only for the startup but for the organization as well. So this is not only for the students, not only for the faculties, but for the entire department, or I would say entire college as well, or entire HEI as well. So as I said, these are the major 5 to 6 paras enlisted in NISP policy A, B, C, D, E, F. Similarly, if you see at nutshell, the highlighting features of this policy, I would like to mention few of the highlights of this policy. Is the very first one is the creation of innovation fund for supporting innovative projects and startups by allocating minimum 1% of the institution total budget. So what is this? I'll be discussing on a next succeeding slide when we come to that part of the point. So next point is the academic breakup for a semester or maybe a year to work on their startup, credits for working on innovative prototype or the business model, and this is for the students. So yes, as I said, as you can see, you can read the academic breakup maybe for semester or maybe for year can be offered to the student based on his or her request, and that will be credited for his entire engineering journey. And this is for the students only, and this is against only and only against a good innovative proposal or maybe the ready prototype or maybe the pitch business model if he or she has. Next one is 2% to 9.5% of equity stake in startup companies by institutes incubator. So as I said, every higher education institute must have the incubator, and when the incubator is supporting lots of services to students and as well as the faculties, so incubator has a right to claim, or I would say to intervene up to 2% to maximum 9.5% of the equity or maybe stake inside the startup, inside the company initiated by student or faculty, and the rest of this rest of the stake lies at the respective student or the faculty only. That means if maximum 9.5%, that means 90.5% stake will be at the respective student only 9.5% equity will be at incubator only. Now let me clear here, they have said this stake lies at incubator, not at respective faculty, neither at the department, neither at any IIC cell. This is at incubator. Next one is the complete ownership of IPR by the inventor in case of non-usage of institute facility and resources. If any faculty or student, he or she is not using any of the resources from the academic institute, in that case, the complete ownership of the IPR shall be offered and given to the respective innovator only. And the fourth highlighting point is services to be offered by institution in lieu of the equity, fees-based or zero payment model. So it is depend on the respective incubator in charge, what kind of a policy he is offering to student and faculties. Obviously, in discussion with the respective director or the principal. And yes, those services can be offered against the either equity, as I have already mentioned in the left point, that is 2% to 9.5%. But if any incubator don't want to offer any equity, don't want to take the equity, in that case they may ask for the fees as well, maybe the fees against the services, and maybe if the incubator is self-sustainable enough to run their operation, then the zero payment model is also welcomed by the MHRD. So we shall start with this highlighting points one by one. Obviously, these points are also at the very highlighted one. These are not in-depth one. We shall have the question and answer session maybe after discussion of this all the points. So when I talk of this A point, that is A para here, HEI strategy for HEI's strategies and governance for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. So here the points are very much clear from the MHRD's Innovation Council that every HEI, every academic institution, every higher education institution strategy strategy should have to come up with I should rephrase my sentence. I'm sorry. Every HEI should come up with this robust and the sound strategy to formulate the universities or maybe the institution levels innovation as well as the startup policy. So at nutshell, I would say, though the MHRD have given the NISP policy, but they have given the rights and the freedom to every academic institute that in line of this NISP policy, you can set up, you can prepare your own policy of the innovation and incubation. Obviously, major stake of the norms which has been written inside the NIC, you need to adopt, you need to follow. So there is no relaxation on this NISP's major highlighting points. For example, the equity points, for example, the academic breakup point, for example, I would say the freedom to set up the incubation center. So all those norms are applicable to all the institutions. Along with that, if you want to do some up and downs inside these points, you can do. But the major gist of these points should be in line with the NISP only. So there is no relaxation over here. Next one is that every institute must appoint one senior person with the charge of incubation center. So many of this incubation, many of the academic institutions have started working upon this point, and the independent charge of incubation has been given to the respective person in charge from the academic premises. He must be either assistant professor. He can be associate professor, or he can be in the professor as well. But comparatively, he should have at least 10 years of experience, so that we can consider him as a senior person who knows the academic part as well as some industry part as well. Next point is the intra and inter-institutional relation to promote the entrepreneurship and innovation agenda. And institute can provide the service and facilities to outsider entrepreneurs too. So when we talk of this innovation, product development, that doesn't mean that you should support only to your respective bona fide students and the appointed faculties. You should offer all these facilities to the outsider as well. For example, suppose Sinhgad, NBN Sinhgad is running their incubator, and if any student or faculty, maybe from ORCID or maybe from WIT, is coming to you, okay, so it is mandated to you that you should entertain their proposal, you should listen their proposal, you should listen, and if possible, wherever best possible, you should support to those outside student as well as the faculties as well. And that's why they have served the intra as well as the inter-institutional relation. Obviously, you can have at backend, you can have the MOUs. Likewise, the MIT and the NBNSCOE have done. From our side, myself is the nodal officer, and from your side, Professor Naikwadi. So we have done a good MOU among us, inter-institutional relation, to promote the inter-institutional relation. And this presentation or this session is also one of the outcome of this. Next one is the resource mobilization plan should be in place. So that is most important for every not only academic institution, but for every students and faculties as well. So now we are breaking down the points in pieces, and we are coming towards the individual interest. So first and most important mobilization point is that own resources. So every institute, every HEI should reserve at least 1% of fund from their total annual budget. So I would request from your side as well, and if any other incubator in charge from other colleges are present over here, you please talk to your principal, you please talk to your director that this is the MHRD's NISP policy, and we should have to reserve at least 1% of fund of our total annual budget. Because when the ARII team will be visiting to your campus, to your organization, they are going to check whether you have reserved 1% of fund in your budget AGM meeting or not. So every institute have their AGM meeting once in a year. So I request all the incubation related professors, incubation in charge over here, that you should ask to your respective institute that at least in AGM you put forth this agenda of reserving 1% of fund from the total annual budget. And this paper is very much important because the MHRDs is going to check this paper whenever they are going to visit for the ranking of your institute. Next one is the rising fund from the diverse sources, for example, state and central agencies. As I said, many of the central agencies and the state agencies are ready to support financially as well as operationally as well. If you have heard about the Forge Foundation, if you have heard about the Melinda Gates Foundation, Mahindra Foundation, then the Tata Trust, they are pretty much active in this area, who are helping the innovation and the incubation related activities. You just need to reach out to them. You have to write one proposal to them, and yes, they are ready to help you out. Now, this is from the private sector. Apart from the private sector, government agencies are also ready to help you out. At regular intervals, they used to open the window of the funding. You have to apply against that call of proposal whenever they open, and you have to write for the funding. Obviously, at backend, you have to write, you need to take the prior permission from your institute principal, maybe director, or maybe the operational CEO if you have. Next one is the incubation fund support under CSR. Dear participants, I would like to tell that it is not mandate that you should only wait for the government agencies to get the fund. You can get the funds from the CSR as under the CSR category as well from the companies. So if you have a Section 8 company, then under Section 8 company of this incubation, under Section 135 and Company Act of 2013, you can fetch the CSR fund for your innovation and incubation activity. Next one is the sponsorship donation from the alumni network. This is the very least or unseen point of many of the higher education institute. We know that we do marketing of our student when the student got placed in companies. But many, my experience is that, to be very frank, many of the institute don't follow the serious collaboration and serious relation with the alumni. So if you have a very good connect with your alumni always ready to support, not only financially, but maybe at networking or maybe at operational areas as well. And this is my strong belief that many of these institutions, alumni are ready to help their own engineering college or the HEIs if they approach at a proper time, at a proper proposal, with the proper proposal. Next point is all HEI should join the IIC. This is a mandate. I hope then, yes, I know that NBNSCOE is also having the IIC led by Professor Naikwadi and electrical department. Next one is that every HEI should participate in Smart India Hackathon, that is SSIH, initiated by MHRD, AICTE, and every HEI should participate in Atal ranking of institution innovation achievement. Now, dear friends, this is going to, if you participate in this Atal ranking, that is ARIIA, as per this ARIIA norms, you are going to benefit lots of sweet fruit in future if you participate, if you start participating in this ARIIA as per this policy scheme. Now, part B, if you see, I did discuss here about how to promote and strategize the governance, entrepreneurship, and innovation related ecosystem, maybe by contributing to IIC, Smart India Hackathon, ARIIA, maybe by reserving 1% of fund, maybe fetching the funds from the CSR, discussing with the alumni network, and all those stuffs. Next one is that most important, what are the different norms for faculties and the students driven innovation and startups? Remember friends, if you see my first point in bullet highlighted point, this norms is faculties and student, but the next word is very important, driven innovation and startup. So if any faculty or student come up with a good innovation proposal, apart from their regular PhD's title. If they're coming up with a good innovation proposal or the startup proposal, MHRD is ready to help, and MHRD is given mandate to offer all the facilities to that faculties as well as student from the HEI, the respective HEI. So what are those sub points under B category? The very first one is incentivize the student for innovation and entrepreneurship. So if students are coming up with a good idea, a good product plan, maybe a startup plan, then incentivize them. When I say incentivize them, not only from, it is not mandate that you should incentivize them on a financial front, but from the other resources as well. Maybe offering them a dedicated sitting area, the lab area, the dedicated mentors to them. So incentivize them so that they can come up and they can motivate for the respective startup of their own and the innovation of their own. Next point is that incentivize the faculties and staff. When I say the faculties and staff, this is not only for the teaching faculties, but for the non-teaching faculties as well. If any non-teaching faculty is available in this session, let me clear this fact that any teaching or non-teaching faculty, if you have a good innovative plan or entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial proposal, maybe a startup proposal, you can get the benefits under this NISP policy from your organization from the MHRD as well. The next one is the norms for the faculty startup. As I said, in B2, incentivize the faculties, in B1, incentivize the student. So just offering them the cherry on a cake is not the only intent of the MHRD, but on parallel side, they have given few norms as well. So who is the eligible faculty? Who is the eligible student? If they are going to start their startup, and the norms have been written inside this B3 para of this NISP. Now we shall discuss about this all the points one by one as well. So the norms, the B1, B2, it is very clear that the incentives are going to offer to students and the faculties. Now, what are these incentives? If you want to understand, I'm ready to share that part as well as we proceed with this slides. But before that, we need to understand who is the eligible person and what are the norms applicable to the respective faculty startups. So very clear definition they have given. The role of faculty while teaching, maybe as a owner, maybe as a founder, co-founder, director, promoter, advisor, mentor, or a consultant. But he or she can take role of an employee as a CEO or other managerial role in his or her startup and can't draw the salary from the startup. Now, this is most important. You are getting the benefits from your organization, and parallelly, if you are getting the salary from your own startup or maybe from your own students, that is not applicable. And he or she, that I'm talking about the faculty now, the respective faculty cannot accept any gift from his or his own startup or maybe student-led startup. If the faculty says that I am the owner of my own startup and I can gift, if I'm not taking any salary from my startup, but I can gift myself maybe a laptop or maybe any other asset. So you can't do that part. Next one is that he or she can take share on a profit and dividend only if the startup as a owner or a shareholder. Yes, now this is very important. If any faculty or student, maybe bona fide student who is already doing his engineering, or any faculty who is appointed as an assistant professor, maybe associate or a professor, they cannot take any salary or the gift from their own startup if they are doing the profits, but they can have the share of profit or they can have the share of dividend in their own startup. Now here, if they are an owner only, if any faculty says that I am the mentor to this startup, so I have my share. So the MHRD says that if you are a mentor, if you are a consultant, if you are an advisor, you don't have any right to take any profit from the startup because this startup is owned by someone else. But if you are the own solo owner or maybe the team owner, then entire team of this startup can avail the facility or avail the benefit of this profit and dividend. Next point is the faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at institute from the work conducted at startup and company. Now, this is the most important point. Many of the academic faculties used to mix up their academic research, maybe PhD research, maybe their academic departmental project or student project along with the startup. So it should not be in a mixed mode case. It should be very much clear that you are not at all entertaining any of the academic project for the sake of the university of the organization mark. Neither you are doing this project for the sake of your own increment and promotion. If you are doing a parallel product development activity, parallel startup activity apart from this all, then only these norms are applicable to you. Next point is in case the selection for acceleration or incubation, the faculty may take sabbatical leave or other leave up to 1 semester or up to 1 year or more based on the committee recommendation. If you have an incubation center in your premises, and if any faculty is coming up with his startup, then it is advised to the incubator that you should have a close eye on those startup, and based on the progress of that startup, maybe after 3 months or maybe after 6 months, based on the incubations committee recommendation, the respective faculty can avail the sabbatical leave or other leave up to 1 semester or maybe 1 year or maybe more than 1 year. But obviously this is based on the recommendation by the respective incubation center of the respective HEI. Next point is faculty must not involve the research staff, other staff engaged in academic project. Now, this was the very first point which I have discussed. The same point here mentioned in a separate agenda, that the faculty must involve the research staff, maybe the research associate, the RA or SRA, the research staff, or any other staff engaged in academic project of institute in activities at startup. So if you are doing any academic project or maybe the research project at your institute, which has been offered by your institute, in that case, it is advisable that you must not involve those staff to your startup, so that the productivity and efficiency can maintain. So this was the clear-cut few of the norms offered to the faculty startups if the faculty is starting their own startup. Now in the part 3, as I said, there are total 6 para. A, B we did discuss. There are few more paras, for example, C, D, E, F. So C stands for C para discuss about the incubation and pre-incubation support faculty creations. D stands for the IP, who will be owning the IP. Next one is the pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development, how the incubation can support this intervention. And the last one is the entrepreneur performance and impact assessment. Now this is not only at the individual level but at the institute level. F point, remember friends, F point is at institutional level. So if you talk about this C point, the incubation and pre-incubation support facilities, how do we can offer. So very clear that you should start with your own SPV. This is especially for the incubation in charge person. The special purpose vehicle you should start maybe under Section 8 Company Act. You should ask to your principal or maybe to your university that we are going to start the Section 8 company inside our academic premises, and whose objective is to promote the incubation and pre-incubation activities. Next one is the promotion and intensification of the technology commercialization efforts. Then allowing license of IPR from institute to startup incubated at incubation unit. So as I said, every incubator should facilitate the IPR support to the student and startup as well. If you want to need anything related to IPR, we shall take the questions after this presentation. I will not talk much on this point. This is a very wide point. Next point is the facility should be accessible to 24/7 to the student, faculties, and the staff. Many of the faculties present in this session might have known that every IIT and NITs and the major institutes or major universities are having the 24/7 laboratories available for the students staff if they want to work upon their own innovation, their own startup or their own research. So it is advisable to all the incubation center and all HEIs that you should facilitate one 24/7 lab for the students, staff and the faculties. Next one is in return of these services offered. So whatever these services they are offering, like 24/7 lab, then IPR facilities, then co-working space, then Section 8 company for the having the service to student. There are some rules as well. For example, whatever the services they are offering, like infrastructure, mentoring, seat support. Every student and faculties use the facilities at institute and incubation unit, and it is the right of that incubation and HEI that they can avail 2% to maximum 9% of equity or maybe stake in the startup or maybe the incubated company. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, Pradeep.
Fine, fine, fine. Yeah. The D point is targeting to IP ownership. If the fund or maybe the resource from the higher education institute used sustainability, then the IPR should be made jointly by the institute and the inventor. This is very much clear. If the student or the faculties are using the resources of the colleges, resources of the university, then it is very much clear that the IP will be shared in between the innovator and the institute, and the license together for the revenue sharing as well. If it is in the form of the share basis, means if the innovator is owing their own idea and the startup, and if they are going for the IP application, and if the innovator, instead of giving the joint or collaborative license of IP to institute, if the innovator says that instead of the joint collaboration, I will offer the shares, then also it is welcome, and in that case it will be 1% to maximum 4%. In that case, if the higher education institute, if instead of the joint patent, if the respective innovator says that instead of joint patent, I am ready to offer you maximum 4% of share at a selling price of my innovation, that is also welcome. But here, this in case of the software share divide is based on the mutually decision between the institute and incubation company or maybe the incubator. Now this is the trick point of this policy. Here many of the students come up with the Android application or maybe the software application, and they said this is my Einstein idea, Newton idea, and I want to go for the patent, and I'm not going to give any right to my institute. This is owned by me only. But friends, let me clear one thing is that in India, no software, no coding, no script can be patented. As per the Indian patent law, you cannot patent the software. You can copyright the software. You can copyright the design, but you cannot patent the code, or you cannot patent the script or the coding material. Instead of that, if, as I said, if the respective innovator or faculty come up with the algorithm, and he or she said that I want to patent this algorithm, then as per the Indian patent law, the algorithm can be patented. I hope this point is clear now. Still, if you have any doubt, we shall take the questions later on. Next point is on any dispute of IPR ownership and revenue sharing and licensing, then the 5-member committee was set up by HEI will look into the matter and recommend. So inside this 5-member committee, the incubation in charge is the compulsory one, and the principal of this institute is the next compulsory member. The rest of the 3 shall be recommended by the respective principal as well as the incubation in charge. Last point is the interdisciplinary research and the publication on startup and entrepreneurship should be promoted by HEI. So this is also very much important. If anyone wants to go ahead with the publication of the startup related research or maybe the innovation related part, it is allowed, but it should be promoted by the HEI only. Means whatever the cost of the publication is there, it is requested and advised to HEI that you should bear the cost if it is related to startup related publication at journal or maybe at conference. So this is from the major points of this NISP. These are the few points, few links which I have written over here. You can click and you will get the startup policy. You will get the NISP related information from the MHRDs as well. And you will get the institutes, how to implement the NISP by appointing the senior faculty. The details have been given in third link. So this is from my side. I'm Pradeep Dhage. I'm very happy to share this point. I'll be signing off, and I'm happy to take a few of the questions from participants' sides if you have. Over to Naikpadi, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pradeep Dhage, for giving such an informative session and such an elaborate discussion on this great NISP policy by Government of India. In fact, if you just read the document, you might not understand the details which we got from this session by discussion with the expert in this field. So now I request all the participants, if you have any question, you can just unmute yourself and raise your questions directly to Mr. Pradeep Dhage.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Now I'm just stopping my screen share now.
Okay. Yes, so far on this discussion, if anybody has any question, you can ask directly in this forum.
There are maybe three reasons for this one. Either they are not, your voice is not audible to any of the participants. Next one is they have understood everything. And the next one is that they don't want to ask any question. They just want to understand the policy first, and then they themselves want to get clear their doubts. If I'm not wrong.
Right. No, right. I think there is no voice issue. I think as I could hear your voice, so everybody might be able to hear the voice. And with regards to just, it was a discussion about understanding the policy. So it was explanatory, self-explanatory, and it was very elaborative from your end also. So I think still, if there is any query or doubt, anybody can ask. Yes, we have Dr. Shinde Madam from SI Kondwa.
Sir, Naikpadi sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, madam, please go ahead.
Myself, Dr. Shinde Madam. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Yes, good afternoon,
My question to Dhage sir is that, sir has said in his presentation regarding the good afternoon, sir. Regarding the staff, if the incubation in the incubation unit, that is the following researcher, if a person is a researcher as well as a guide of a particular university, can that person has a right to have a startup in the college itself? Because personally myself, I am a research guide as well as
so I just wanted to understand
guiding
just
one
wanted
to two students from my university. So can that faculty have a right to start the incubation unit or have a own startup in my college, or I can start individually at my premises? Over to you, sir.
I would like to understand. You would like
Yes, sir.
to understand your question again,
I
but
repeat my
before
question,
that,
sir. I'm a researcher as well as I'm a research guide of SPB University, Pune. Can I
okay.
have the right? Yes, sir. So can I researcher has a right to start the incubation unit or as a startup in the college itself, or if not in the college, can I apply individually on my own?
Yes, as I said, any faculty, the appointed faculty at institution, any appointed faculty at university, he or she can start his or her own startup, provided that their startup should be accepted by the respective incubation center of the HEI. Not only maybe your own HEI, maybe at other side as well. Maybe you can ask to Solapur University, your NBNSCOE, you can ask to any of the stable incubator. If you send your proposal and if they accept, in that case,
Okay.
yes, it can be done. Provided that you cannot use your research associates, your research scholars to work upon your startup idea, because they are already working on their own academic research.
Okay.
So you will have to appoint a
Okay.
separate person, or maybe you will have
Separate
to
person.
or maybe you will have to find the co-founders, and maybe any other faculty, or maybe the research associate, maybe your student, but you will have to grade them as a co-founder instead of your employer, instead of your subordinate.
Subordinates. They should not be associated with our institute.
Yeah, and if you are
Correct, sir?
incorporating from your institute also, it is welcome, no problem. Suppose if you want to collaborate, if you want to take the help from the NICWAD sir, and here on a screen I am observing many of the professors. Let us take Professor Garase sir, or maybe Ashish Shinde.
Yes.
If you want to use them, you may use, but in that case you will have to welcome them in the capacity of co-founders. If you are welcoming them in the
Sir, in
capacity
the
of just an employee, that is not welcome.
not only as an employee is not welcome. Okay.
If you
So the
want to
second
put the
question is regarding.
employees, sorry, if you want to put the
Yes, sir.
employees, you can ask any outsider who need job, or who has an interest in your proposal, and if he or she is ready to work for you, you can.
Okay. So second question is, how much should be the minimum amount I should ask for the proposal to the MHRD?
See here, let me clear one point. MHRD is not ready to give any funding right now. MHRD is just published this policy, and they have asked the HEIs that you should reserve 1% of the fund from your total annual budget. Now again, this 1% of fund is for establishing the incubation center and the innovation related activity. The fund which you are asking, that is called a seed fund. Now if you want,
See.
maybe if you want any fund for your project, if you want fund for your startup, in that case there are some other parallel schemes, or the agencies are there where you have to write your proposal. For example, DST Nidhi Prayas. For example, you can write to us as well, MIT-TBI. We have the seed fund facility from our side. You can write to the industries as well under CSR. This is my project and I want the seed fund of maybe starts with the maybe 10,000 rupees to maximum 1 crore. So up to 1 crore, the fund can be considered. No problem. But yes, right now, through this online mode, I can, without observing, without reading your proposal, I cannot say how much of the fund do you really need for your innovation.
Yeah.
So that part has to be done by your end first, and then you may share it to us. You may share it to Naikwadi sir. We will ask our financial expert to evaluate the actual costing of this innovation for the seed fund requirement, and then probably you can ask.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, madam, for raising that query. Dhage sir, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So basically, the question was regarding can a researcher be a founder of her research or his research undertaking? So that was her basic question, and she's affiliated to SPPU as a research guide, PhD guide. So her question was relevant for this particular topic.
Yes, it is welcome, provided that that research on which he or she would like to work, if it is the academic research, and if she is already taking some benefits from the university against that research, then it is not permissible.
Right, correct. Yes, any other question from other participants? This forum is open for questions.
Naikwadi sir, one more question I want to ask to Dhage sir.
Yes, madam, please.
Yes, please, ma'am.
Dhage sir, I will elaborate my work. I'm working on microstrip antennas and designing for the. I'm trying to design for the SWAN antennas. SWAN antennas is an area network, wide area network for the Indian satellite network. Satellite SWAN stands for SWAN, stands for Satellite Wide Area Network. Are you getting my voice, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes, you're
Hello.
audible.
SWAN, SWN stands for Satellite Wide Area Network. It is a project of Government of India for the antenna survey network for all the satellites, constellation of the satellites. I got this new proposal, but alone I can't do this. So I'm having an idea based on this. Can anyone from your institute, MIT, or your contacts can come and work with me, and I can guide and I can go for the proposals for this. But I want a help from you for
Here
doing
I
a
have two
survey or doing
questions
a
for
research.
you. Here I have two questions
Uh,
for you. Is your SWAN related problem statement is a part of or maybe related with your academic PhD or postdoc?
no, it is totally from university. It is a research initiative by
Okay,
our university.
okay. Now
So
in
that
that case,
proposal
madam,
has come to me. It's
okay.
no, I completed
So
my PhD and I'm doing for as a new advanced work. I want to do
yeah,
new
I
advanced work
understood.
on this SWAN network. So
I
it is a part
understood
of.
that.
So
So in
you can
that
please
case, you
feel
can
free. Not now. I don't want to answer anything right now, but I have an idea, and I want some students or some faculty or some proposal. I'm ready to make the proposal. I want a help from you, from your institute or some other, so that we can enhance the work and submit it to the university.
Yeah,
So that
actually,
is
I have
also
a
one
two
part of the work.
opinion from my side. One thing is that you're most welcome to work upon such kind of an innovative track, which has been offered by
Yeah, it
your
is.
university.
Yes.
For that, you may get the RA and SRA as well. If your project or your research is funded, in that case, you can appoint the RA, and we are ready to help to appoint some RA or SRA from our side. If you don't have the
Yes.
funds, still we are ready to give you the RA or the SRA against your research project. No problem. Only the thing is that you will have to write. You'll have to give them the experience letter against their work. Next
Yes,
one
yes.
is that. Yeah. Next one is that
Funds is
as
not at raised. Funds are
as this
not at
project
raised.
is. Yeah, so in that case, you will have
Yes.
to write to either your university, and if your university don't have a budget against your project, in that case, you may reach out to few of the NGOs or maybe the CSR bodies as well, where most of the CSR bodies are ready to help you for your research, especially in the field of antenna, or in the field of electronics, or maybe in the field of technology. So you can write to them. I have few links. I'll share to you that part. Probably I'll share to Naikwadi
Yes.
sir. You may get from the Naikwadi sir, or you may drop one message to me. I'll share to you. No problem. But the thing is
Yes, yes,
that
definitely.
as this project is been offered by your university, so you cannot start your startup unless you won't have the clear-cut permission from your university. Because
This work has
as
been
per the,
initiated by the university itself, and I
so
want
yeah,
some
so you
help, research, like RA research associate. RA means you mean to say research associate, right, sir?
yes.
So some one or two persons I need for the help so that collaborative we can go and propose this to the university.
Sure. You can do. No problem. That part you can do.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes. Do we still have any questions? So we have already passed the time. That is, it is almost 1.5 hours that we have started the session. There is one request to all the participants that shortly we will be sharing the feedback link, attendance, and the certificate link in our Telegram channel. So I request you all to fill up that attendance in order to get the certificate. And before closing this session, I now request Hiremat Madam to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, Madam. I think Madam is not audible. There may be some technical problem at her end. So I would like to propose the vote of thanks. I would like to thank Sinhgad Institute's management and specifically NB Navale Sinhgad College of Engineering, our principal, beloved principal, Dr. Shankar Navale sir, our management for giving us a platform to organize such a session in this critical situations. And I would like to thank the entire electrical engineering department, especially our our HOD Professor Rajendra Gharse sir, who took this initiative to organize this webinar. And I personally thank Mr. Pradeep Dhage, who accepted our request for conducting this webinar in spite of his busy schedule, for uh, working for this startup related activities. And I'd like to thank the entire team of electrical engineering department who worked rigorously in order to make this webinar successful. And last but not the least, I thank all the participants who have joined, who have spent their time, and who have been very active participants in this webinar. I would like to keep the same association with you all in future also, and we will be updating about the similar activities if we carry out in future. And with this, I would like to stop here and thank you all once again. I request all of you to fill up the attendance and feedback form for so that we can issue the certificates to all the participants. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.